Welcome to Maker Conversations. I'm your host, Tiff Marchand from NIGHTCARVER Designs. Today on the show, I have a fellow horror movie lover and an amazing artist. I have Nick Berchtold from Berchtold Design Build. He is so talented. I was blown away when I first saw that mallet from the mallet challenge that he made. That looked like it was like fabric with buttons on it. Super cool. And I had no idea of any of the things that he does, what he does for a living. So it was really cool to just kind of find out everything I could about Nick. And I hope you enjoy it. I've got a special little message at the end of this episode for Patreons, and I hope to see you guys there. All right, on with the episode. I was excited. I wore my Halloween hat for you. I figured might as well just like go for it, right?
Oh yeah.
I did some stalking because I enjoy stalking folks, and I was kind of curious, like when you first started hosting, at least like you were already like in this. Like this is something that you must have been doing for a while. So I definitely want to like dive into all of that stuff, but also, I just kind of want to, ask you a horror movie question because I never get to use these. And I bought these trivia cards years ago. So are you down to try to answer some random horror movie questions to start this podcast off with?
I'll do my best.
Okay. Who directed the original 1978 version of Halloween?
John Carpenter.
There you go. See, this is not a problem. This is another director question. Who directed the 2003 slasher film House of a Thousand Corpses?
Rob Zombie.
Yes, that movie was twisted.
Oh yeah, it was a wild one. Had a lot of twists and turns.
Oh yeah. Oh man. What was Candyman's weapon of choice?
A hook.
See, you're doing just fine on these. All right, this is my last one, and then we're done. Who directed the 1999 film Sleepy Hollow, which starred Johnny Depp as Ichabod Crane?
Was it Tim Burton?
It was, yeah. He's had a love affair with Johnny for a long time.
Yeah.
I bought these so long ago. It was when I had started my first podcast, and then I realized like nobody watches horror movies, and they couldn't answer them. So I literally opened the plastic on them today. So let's get into your story. Sir.
So I guess I started woodworking a lot of scroll saw projects, intarsia, fretwork, signs for coffee shops and stuff when I was in high school. And then that kind of blossomed into little pieces of furniture, little shelving units, things like that. And
so wait, you were already doing this like in high school? Like, was it like a shop class thing that got you inspired, or was it like your family were makers or into that kind of stuff? Like, how did you get involved with that so young?
So nobody in my family does it professionally. Okay. My dad, we always kind of call it like an extreme hobby. So it was, he set up a wood shop and he started making some things and got me in there. I mean, my dad's who got me into woodworking. And at the time, he didn't want me to use the table saw and the miter saw and the bandsaw and all these things like unsupervised.
Yep.
So all I was allowed to use was a scroll saw and a spindle sander and a disc sander and the drill press. So
I did what I could do.
Yeah. So a lot of intarsia, thousands and thousands of hours. So you said sell those at like local craft fairs.
That's insane. So you were doing that at such a young age. What kind of pieces were you making?
So back then I would take on anything. So I worked Scroll Saw magazine. I used to get that every month or quarterly or whatever it was. So I would pick out the projects I liked in there and then make those, and eventually got bored with that. So I started drawing my own and did a couple really big pieces, the fish tank intarsia aquariums.
Well, that's cool.
Those were kind of what capped it all off for me.
Yeah. So then once you got older, then you got to venture into the other tools in the shop.
Yep. So I did the intarsia stuff and the scroll saw stuff until I went off for college. So I went to college for architecture. So I was doing that for 6 or 7 years. but they always had a wood shop. So I would always find my way into their wood shops and make my projects and my architectural models, and eventually got hired on there. So I was running the university's wood shops and CNCs and
Oh, that's
lasers. And
nice. So you had like a lot of toys right there at your hands. That
yep.
makes so much sense with like all the stuff that you do and how you think and design. Like I was saying, that very first post of yours was very advanced. Like you could tell that you had so many hours behind you with this. So what got you into like doing the vases?
I was watching when I first started my architecture job now as a model maker. I was
Mm-hmm.
watching at lunchtime just YouTube videos of Jimmy DiResta, and eventually I stumbled across Kyle Toth. And at that
Okay.
time, he was doing a series of 100 vases just to do it. So I
Yep.
was like, I did one and then waited a couple months and then did another one, and then like really got the bug and made like 30 of them all in a row. But that
Wow.
spans back about 4 years now.
Yeah, and you did so many crazy glue ups. Like the colors on those are insane.
So that was kind of the driving force. The first one was to see if I could do it, to see if it worked, if it had
Mm-hmm.
any, if it looked cool. And I thought it looked really cool. It was just a simple spiral, but the kind of what you're talking about now, the segmentation of the wood color, the different wood
Yes.
species.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the pattern, the kind of a 2D pattern overlaid of a 3D pattern and what that would do. And it's at the time, like unpredictability. Like I wasn't like rendering them out on a computer of what
Yeah.
it's going to look like. It was make one blank 2D and then a 3D model and combine the two and see what comes out.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, you seem like you're an experimenter. I like that about you. You're like, you do things just to see if you can do them and then you're ready to move on. I've noticed that with like your things like, I've made this, not interested in making more. Next.
Let's say that's hard. Yeah, that's hard for me now. I'm getting a little backlash on that, but it's like
Yeah.
I don't have the time. I work a full-time job and this is what I do for fun. And
Yeah.
the challenge is the challenge. And when they're kind of the easier ones, I'll do a run of, but sometimes like the baseball bat, it was just too much.
Yeah.
They take too long to make. It's just not worth it.
I was gonna say I can't even imagine how long it takes to make something like that. Like just so many intricate cuts. So what do you do for your day job? Are you still in architecture during the day?
I run a model shop for an architecture firm in Chicago.
Oh, that's so cool. So you still have
So,
a lot of toys at your hand.
oh yeah, that's all I do. That's all I do with my time.
Is that where you do your fun stuff too, or do you have a shop at your house as well?
I do both. So
That's cool.
the partners at the office encourage me to work on my own stuff, and they love seeing. They follow me on Instagram and stuff, which blows my mind. But they're like, this stuff is crazy, and then they show that to like their friends, and like, how does he do this and this and this? So should have some really interesting things coming up in the future.
That's awesome. Has anyone like so what are you designing? Like, is it homes or are you doing like businesses?
So
Or like your teams? Yeah.
I work for Adrian Smith and Gordon Gill. They're the architects of the world's tallest buildings. So the one in Dubai, they did and then including the new one that's under construction now, that'll be taller than the one in Dubai. But we do
Oh wow.
mostly mega tall skyscrapers. So I
That's
build them up, and then I build the model of the skyscrapers.
oh, that's so fun.
But
So
they
then
have
you kind of test out like their theories and kind of
mhm.
develop them so they can see how it looks.
Yeah, we work on really all scales of like presentation models to like trophy models that chairmen put on their desks in their executive offices, all the way up to full scale mock-ups of window mullion details and the way those get joined together in real life.
That's so fun. I'm just thinking of like Beetlejuice with the little mock-ups and everything. That's it makes sense too because you make so many little mini models of things in various sizes. It's just like testing this out, having a nice little variety.
I say I think I was probably the most excited person to get scanned, 3D scanned by 3D DIY Dave. Because I make architecture models, and now I can literally 3D print myself out and put those in the architecture models.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. And here's me, and then I'm over here, and here's me over there.
The day
That's
I got scanned, I had a flash drive with me. I took it right to the shop. There was no downtime.
that's great. You're like, and goodbye. Did you got scanned before Workbench Con, right?
Yeah, Dave
Okay.
came to Chicago for a Chicago maker
Yeah.
meetup.
Yep, I remember that because I wanted to go so bad. It was too close to Maker Camp. I was like, eh.
Got another one coming up in July.
I don't know if you have like a family and kids or anything, but man, when you have kids, it is so hard to like just go places. And I so want to.
I'm married, but we don't have any kids yet. So
Got you. Yeah. It's they're lovely. So what cool things are you making for yourself? Like, are these things that you're doing stuff that you're making so that you're going to sell them, or are you making things that you'd want and then you make a few copies of them for others?
I guess I just wrapped up my personal bed, the live edge walnut bed with all the scrap walnuts as the
So
skirt.
pretty.
But I've got a little more work to do on that. We're gonna do. So I live in a condo building in Chicago, and we have all these columns that run through. So there's protrusions on the wall. So I mounted it to one of the protrusions, but now I have an 18-inch cavity on the back. So I got to
Oh
do
wow.
some built-ins.
Yeah.
But
Don't want to
we'll
waste
make it
that
work.
space. Yeah.
No, but yeah, and then the kind of the product things, it's kind of for the internet. I just make them because I think they'll get a lot. I make things that I think I'll get a lot of views, and that's kind of
Yeah.
how I dictate the projects that I take on.
I mean, that's
Other than
smart.
that, it's friends and family, and kind of the word of mouth for my work in Chicago keeps spreading to the point where it's almost unmanageable. Like to work a full-time job and then do this as a hobby.
Yeah, I
But
can only imagine. I was thinking because if you were doing like houses, the reason I asked that question earlier was I was wondering if people are like seeking your stuff for their houses and kind of like basing like interior design off of that. Cause I could totally see like, I want this to be the centerpiece. And now let's make this room frame this. Like, I feel like you'd get to that point.
I've had conversations about stuff like that, but I've never pulled the trigger. Me and the client have never come to like an understanding on a
Hmm.
number for that type of or that scale. So kind of the largest projects I'm willing to take on right now would be a dining table, like a full-size dining table.
That's a cool
But
project.
I've always been ever since like architecture school and learning about space design and spatial design. I would love to get into like what I would call super furniture, where it's an object in a room, but it has multi functions and climb in it, climb on it. But
Oh man. So, okay. So possible in the future, maybe one day you'll dabble into that.
yep, no, that's the hope.
That's a really
Just
cool
keep
thing.
scaling and scaling slowly.
I could see that. And you have some cool projects lined up. I'm guessing those are top secret, so that way people get a good shock on them. Or, yeah,
That's how
I
I
like it.
usually like to do it.
No,
Yeah.
that's great. But like, what are you doing when you're designing? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, you're trying to always develop something new, or are you refining something that you've already had in the past? Like, what pushes you?
What pushes me is the new, but
The
I
new?
do find myself constantly trying to better things that I've done in the past. Like I did a treasure box a year or two ago, and this year I redid a new one. And it's crazy to see like what I thought was the best I could do at the time is completely different than now. So it's like it's always evolving skill sets and inspiration that the internet has brought me, and social media is like you're seeing what hundreds, if not thousands, of other people are making right now. And it's like, ooh, like I'll take this
Yeah.
application and weave it in here and do this and
Mm-hmm.
that, and all while trying to do things that I've never seen or trying to do something new, I guess, is a big driver.
I mean, I think one of the first things I saw of yours was that mallet with like, it looked like it was fabric, like little push buttons and stuff. Like that blew my mind just to see something like that. So I can totally see what you're saying, like trying to meld things together and surprise people with something they've never seen before because it's something that you rarely can do nowadays. So to push it like that is really cool.
Yeah, that was a really fun, quick project. So I love those, and trying to do some of the makers challenge things, and those are a fun time to like. That's a big push for me to like clear time to do a 2-week challenge and still work a full-time job.
I was gonna say, are you trying to do the one right now since you have a history of scroll saw or no?
No, I'm on a big deadline at work right now.
Ah,
Otherwise, I would have. I did a cheeseburger years and years and years ago, and
did you?
would like to do a new cheeseburger, like a big triple stack or something that just looks juicy.
That would be fantastic. That just looks juicy. I love that. I'm pondering doing it, although I mean I can whip it out. Like I have more time than you do for this kind of stuff. I was thinking about making a giant donut, like the Springfield donut, the Homer Simpson donut, because I
Yeah,
have all of my carving wheels on this one big piece of like wall control. So it just is like a little bunch of donuts anyways. And to have that like right on top of it, I thought that'd be really fun.
that would be awesome.
Right? Like, and then to have that as my background all the time as like in my videos, I just thought it'd be funny. Like, there's a Springfield donut. I'm from Springfield, Mass. It would work well. Yeah. So,
And glaze it with some epoxy.
oh, I should. I should. I have been looking for like a reason to use that, so it's not a bad idea. What kind of things would you do if you were going to throw your own challenge? Like, what would you want to have people do?
I don't know. I like the more kind of the vague ones where you can get some surprises in. I think sometimes of oh yeah, make something. One of my favorites was the make it round. You just make a round piece of furniture. So you get a bunch of different styles. You get a bunch of different like even pieces, functional pieces, side tables, dining tables,
Yeah.
chairs, boxes.
So just like super general.
Yeah. I've never participated in like a 2x4 challenge, but I always thought those were really interesting. And to see what you can like, you just set a quick little parameter and like,
Mm-hmm.
what can you do with this? And then
That's really
like,
cool. I love that you use 2x4s for your head carving because people would snub them. You know what I mean? Like you're making art with 2x4s. Like, get some better wood. But like, dude, look what you can make.
so that was just selecting out, not put a lot of knots in it. It's like it's a pretty substantial chunk of wood still. I reinforced my bed frame with 2x4, so these were just the cutoffs. And
Perfect.
it's
You're
like, oh, I
like,
can take that, which would just be a garbage material, and make something that's funny for
mhm.
people to look at.
Yeah, exactly. The piranha plant that I carved was all just cut off of just lumber I got at a scrapyard that they were just going to throw away. Like I got to take that free lumber and turn it into something really cool now. So it's like, oh, I get to stare at this thing and also make something cool that people haven't seen me do yet. So it was a
It
bonus.
was cool to watch you build it.
Thank you. I tried to have fun with it, make it entertaining for everybody. Because
It
I was
was.
entertained. Like carving those teeth it was just so fun to be in there for like a dentist. I was telling my husband, I'm like, I gotta go clean some teeth real quick. I'll be back. Do you like for the things that you're making, is it hard? Like, do people get too crude with the comments that you have to like watch, or is everybody pretty cool about it?
Instagram, everyone's really cool about it. I mean, there's some crude ones, but that's kind of to be expected at this point. So I don't usually interact with those or comment back, but and I don't usually delete anything. So if people want to put it out there, they can.
It's
It's
on
out there
them.
now.
Yep.
So I don't mind it, and no one's rude or crude to me
I love that.
specifically, but
Yeah.
TikTok and YouTube have some different rules.
Man, YouTube is harsh. That's what I've realized.
No, Instagram, everyone has a face, and there's not that many account, or not that I've noticed, like bot accounts that interact with people in a negative way. But
So, are you going to Maker Camp? Actually,
yep,
you are okay. Is this your first
mhm,
time?
yep.
Sweet. What are your goals for it? Like, do you know about it? Like, what's going on there? Have you heard people describe it?
I've heard people describe it. I don't really have any goals. I want to go to just experience it, and I mean, I've heard nothing but great things. So
Are you going to be participating? You think, or are you going to be observing? Because there's like some fun hands-on things you can do.
I'm looking forward to trying some things out for sure.
Awesome.
I've never forged anything, so yeah, I guess even being in a room where that's happening is going to be a treat.
It's really cool. I sat there and just like watched people do it. I didn't want to like get in there, but like it was enjoyable just to see people like how elated they get just doing it. Like you just see them kind of just cheesing, and just
Yeah,
and the sound effects are pretty cool. Well, I'm
I
just gonna
bet.
say, come power carve at Sabretooth if you feel like getting a little dusty.
I would.
And bring your PPE. I keep telling people that. Bring your face mask, bring your goggles, your hearing protection. You'll need it all.
I wouldn't have thought about that.
It gets wild. So, how do you come up with like what machines you're going to use for stuff? Like, do you use a variety or do you stick with like the rotary
Go-to is always the CNC for me, but
Yeah.
I guess that's the most instant gratification, especially on small stuff. It's like, oh, and plug it in and do everything right, and either it fails or it works. And when it works, it's fun.
Beautiful. Yep.
But everything, I mean, there's always more than one way to skin a cat, and there's always the right tool for the job at the time. So when I can use the table saw, I use the table saw because it's a lot faster than the CNC, but straight cuts and stuff like that.
That's cool. And then what do you want to use, or what do you want to learn for the future? Is there something that you want to dabble in?
I'd love to dabble in robotics and kind
Ooh,
of 6-axis milling. So being able to have a robot arm that's the size of a room or something, and you just mount something in the middle and it can carve it from all sides.
I've seen that. It's so crazy. I could definitely see you getting into that. I know Luke was talking about that about a year or two ago. He was like, I just want every access CNC. He's like, I want to be able to make anything.
He was doing that carving and he kept having problems with the belts, and then finally upgraded to the Onefinity. So now he's got the power to do what he wants to do, and it's cool to see what he's cranking out.
So what got you into the tattoos? Is that something that you've always just had over the years?
I started getting tattooed in college, but I've always had an
Just been
interest in
into
it,
that?
drawing stuff on my hands and arms my whole life. Just artists. I guess my brain always associated with artwork and artists, and I don't know, even more so, it's things that can be art now that I didn't consider art in the past, like fancy chefs and fancy hair stylists and barbers, and the whole, I guess the culture encompasses so many different creative fields.
I love it. Like, what did you start with? Is there a certain piece that,
I
like, when you were younger, or
Yeah, silly me when I was early 20s, I think. I got a half, I didn't get it. I'd never gotten a small tattoo or anything. And I went in, my first session was for a half sleeve of koi fish, because
oh,
that's what the cool thing was at the time, is everyone wanted
mm-hmm.
koi fish. So I've got a couple of those, and through the years, I've met some really talented artists. So I do some projects for them, and they do some projects for me or on me now.
That is the dream right there. Like, I just want to make best friends with a tattoo artist, and I just want to like make them stuff and have them tattoo me. Like, it would just be wonderful.
They come up with some crazy ideas as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, I saw that you had like a whole collection of pieces from one artist, like all like the horror pieces, and like just how they developed and how you like started just kind of getting like a series. And I know you specifically showed me that at Workbench Con, and I was like, that's dope. Like, I love that. That's kind of like where you've progressed. Like, you started, yes, with the popular koi fish tattoo. I get it. Like, it was what was in, and they still are nice.
But yeah, we've been working on that leg for 3 years or so now. It's just everything. Nothing's ever done with him. He's such a perfectionist on everything. Everything's getting 3 passes when it looked great after the first pass. So,
I mean, you can't complain about that, right?
well,
So,
that's what I say every time I go in there now. It's crazy to see. It's just like, I didn't think it could get any better. Now it's better, and we can't argue with him.
mm-mm. What cool things have you made for trades, like the vases and things like that? Like, just, or is there specific things for shops? Like, have you made pieces for a tattoo shop?
So I've worked with a couple different tattoo shops. So I've done countertops for one tattoo shop in
Cool.
Chicago, and I've kind of working with the guys who are tattooing me now. I'm building their chairs. So they ordered these fancy spa chairs that rotate and bend and collapse and lay flat and spin, all these things, but they've got a big plastic molded back piece that's just like a blank canvas. So we've been popping those off and building new ones, and the ideas keep getting
That's
more
so
wild.
cool. So you're customizing the backs of these? That's really fun. And then that's
So
like
so
such
far.
I would say like such a like I don't know how to say ambiance thing for people when they come in there, but it like creates a whole atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like when you walk into a shop and you can see that their details go all the way to the furniture like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's a huge
The first,
upgrade.
yeah. The first one we carved completely out of wood, as the completely out of walnut, actually. in the face of the Veiled Virgin. And then the second one we did was, I don't know if you play Death Stranding, the video game,
Mm-mm.
but they've got a little baby or like a fetus in a pod. So we did that as the second one, a bridge baby. So it's I milled the baby out of wood and then cast it in epoxy and then lit it from the bottom so it glows.
That's so cool. You don't post
And
those things, or is that more private? They didn't want you to share it?
no, I do. It's been a couple of years now, probably
I
2
say I
years
didn't see
since I
that.
did the last one.
Now I'm going to scroll harder when I go through this again.
I really need to update my website too. But I'm scheduled to do another guy's as Darth Vader. So I have this design where we're gonna try to put the mask on with magnets so he can take it on and take it off, because I have a 3D model of Darth Vader's actual head inside the mask. So
That's so cool.
we'll try to do something crazy with that one. And then I got one more after that, which will be a Ninja Turtle shell. So trying to build that out of what's gonna be a challenge.
Are they going to have weapons in it too, or are we just going like for the belt around the back?
So he said I mean, everyone's favorite is Michelangelo.
I
So
was
he
going to say,
wanted a
because then you
spot
got
for
to
a
get into
pair
that.
a nunchucks in there, and then but I haven't read this yet, but the new Ninja Turtle comic book uh, plays out in the future where 3 of the 4 Ninja Turtles die, and then Michelangelo gets everybody's weapon. So we're talking about that right now
Oh,
too. And
wow.
can we do all the weapons on there? It's like,
Of
I don't
course
know.
they keep Mikey, the crowd favorite.
Yeah.
That's I did a giant Ninja Turtle shell, and they had me include, I think it was all of the weapons, at least like one of each. Like I had to include of it. And then I have it in sticker form. It came out really cool. I kind of want to make another one just to make it. It even have like a slice of pizza on the back too. And it said pizza dude's got 30 seconds. I was like, you want me to make what? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of those custom orders that you're like, yes, I will take that. Man, I need to do another one of those just for fun. That's what I like doing. I keep contemplating going back. I don't know if you saw the sticker club that I was doing, but I was making 24 by 24-inch carvings, and like just of different themes, and I had people choose like which movie you want to base it off of. And then I would make stickers of them, and then that's what people would get if they joined the club. And I keep contemplating going back to that one day, but I'm like, I got so many other things, but I just want to make like cool pieces like that.
What do you got coming up besides the Ninja Turtle totems?
This, I have the reason I quit my job. So I quit my job on June 24th, and it's like my 1-year anniversary very soon. So I really want to execute the thing I quit my job to make. I haven't made like my full prototype yet, and it's sitting on top of my laser right now behind me in like a partial mode, and I've just got to finish it. So that's my goal, is I got to make some design decisions and get that done. Like that's the number one thing, is to finish my prototype. And I'm at the stage of, do I add epoxy, or am I going to make this thing already that's way too expensive, even more expensive? You know what I mean? It's like, because I am trying to make like a super high quality version of what's out now, but am I going too high quality? I gotta like, I gotta get like a mid ground one, but this is like, I'm going for the top one right now. Well, I want to say thank you to your friends for pushing you to get on and start posting on social media, because no one would know of you and all the cool things that you're doing. And I can only imagine how many people you've already inspired to start trying to think about like doing these rotary CNCs. You know what I mean? 'Cause I don't think people knew about them really before they started seeing what you were doing.
Yeah, I hope other people are starting to get them now. So it's really cool to see it kind of blossom
Yeah, it
in real
is.
time.
It's really cool. And then you'll start seeing like the brands catch on that people are actually interested in these things too, you know? So they're going to start building towards that model, and they're going to start developing their stuff to get to that need, because people want it. And then if they don't have it, then they're going to go somewhere else. So I think that's kind of cool too, to kind of see the brands watching everything and following up with that. And are you excited for anything else that you want to talk about before we hop off?
Yeah. So in Chicago on July 15th, we're doing a maker meetup at RNC Woodworking with Pink Soul Studios. It'll be in Lake Forest, Illinois. And I'll be there. Looking forward to it.
That's awesome. So absolutely, I want to have people go to that. So Lake Forest, Illinois, is that what you said?
Yep.
Perfect. If you're in that area, check it out, guys. And thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great night. Also, people were loving your post today, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like I saw some smiling faces. So I get DMs once in a while. They're like, that's cool. Like going from the stories. And so that's always cool to see people reacting to things. So thank you for sharing that. I really do appreciate it. I want to have
Thank
more
you guys for
people.
sharing.
You're welcome. I want to have more people that are posting and sharing on Workbench Con's account because I want to highlight more makers. So if people too who are listening want to share something that they think they could help teach somebody something cool or give a tip or trick, let me know. I'd love to collaborate because we really want to have that page be a maker central, like somewhere you can find new people and new things that you might be interested in. So I do want to plug that. I gave Workbench Con a freebie. Look at that. I'm being kind today. Well, thank you for coming on. Have a great night.
Yep. You too. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Bye. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Nick a little bit more. I had no idea what he did for a living, and it was really cool to find out that he's had a part in so many amazing projects, and it made complete sense once I started talking to him more. So if you want to find out more about Nick, head on over and check out his page. I'll have it tagged in the show notes. And if you're going to be at Makers Camp, make sure you come by and say hello at the Sabertooth tent. I'll be there with Cecilia from the shop Wood Design, and we're going to be carving up some wood. A huge thank you to Sabertooth for sponsoring this episode. You can use NIGHTCARVER10 in all caps to save 10%. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day. And my first Patreon meetup is going to be on July 12th. That is going to be open to anybody. So if you want to join me and hang out, I'll probably hit record, but I may not use it because, we might get a little too crazy. So just let me know. Send me a DM. July 12th, we'll hang out at 8 p.m. All right. Have a great day. Oh, yeah. And that is Eastern time for the Maker Patreon meetup. All right. Bye-bye again.